Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chad here. And who of you think that January 6th was a true insurrection of the United States Capitol? Anybody? Because they like to say, well, a bunch of right wing extremist gun nuts stormed the Capitol. But the problem is, nobody brought a gun. The Capitol's still standing. I don't even think it missed a day being open. There was no major damage. No one was hurt except Trump supporters. I think now 2 have been killed. And now we're watching 3 years later as many people that were there on that day who just walked through the Capitol, who were let in by Capitol Police, are sitting in jail cells without charge, awaiting trial. Basically, they're being held as prisoners of the United States government for no crimes. You know, I listen to a lot of Tim Pool. And while, I do like him, but I do think he sits on the fence on a lot of things, and I don't really like that. But the one thing that he talks about that I've totally agreed with him for a long time is that we're getting very close, if not already in, a civil war. And I would say that the Civil War started with the Russia collusion delusion. And then we had the Summer of Love, the George Floyd riots, the Antifa assault on a federal courthouse for over 100 days. Now we see that the Justice Department goes after moms that go out and say, we don't want you to show pictures of cocks to our kids. We're pretty much watching as journalists that happen to be conservative are being arrested by the DOJ, 2 now, for just doing the simple act of journalism. It really does feel like the federal government is declaring war on us. There is that story coming out of Washington, D.C. right now in Arlington National Cemetery where they're trying to remove a monument that basically celebrated the reconciliation of the country after the Civil War. My comments on that yesterday were that looks like the federal government is saying the Civil War is back on and they are at war with the American people, with the United States. And I've told you that all many times if you've listened to my videos. But what just happened tonight, it proves to me once and for all that we are either in for a civil war or we're going to sit back, bitch and whine until the government comes in and takes everything from us. Evidently, the Colorado Supreme Court has decided to disqualify Trump from the 2024 ballot for insurrection. Check this out. The Colorado Supreme Court ruled Tuesday in a 4-3 opinion that the Constitution's insurrection clause prohibits former President Donald Trump from appearing on the ballot for the presidency in 2024. The ruling reads, quote, "The court found by clear and convincing evidence that President Trump engaged in insurrection as those terms are used in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment." Now, this provocative ruling partially reverses a prior ruling from a Colorado District Court Judge, Sarah Wallace, who ruled in November that Trump is not an officer of the United States as defined by the 14th Amendment, and that the amendment, therefore, cannot be used to disqualify him from appearing on the Colorado primary ballot. That seems right. Donald Trump currently isn't a part of the United States government. So why should they be able to use something against him that only really pertains to acting members of the government? It's a good question. But in partially reversing Wallace, the court all but dared the United States Supreme Court to step in by January 4th of 2024. Quote, "If review is sought in the Supreme Court before the stay expires on January 4th, 2024, then the stay shall remain in place, and the Secretary will continue to be required to include President Trump's name on the 2024 presidential primary ballot until the receipt or any order or mandate from the Supreme Court," the ruling says. So, as long as the Supreme Court takes up this case and is willing to rule on it, Donald Trump gets to stay on the ballot. But this is pushing the Supreme Court to be involved. I'm telling you right now that no matter how the Supreme Court rules, they're not going to rule correctly. Because if they rule that Trump can be on the ballot and this is all bullshit, well, that hurts the Democrats' chances of interfering in the 2024 election. They'll actually have to run, and if they actually have to run, they will lose. This will cause mass chaos in the streets because you know that the Democrats will send out their brown shirts to cause as much pain and misery leading up to the election as they possibly can. But if the Supreme Court rules that states can knock Donald Trump off the ballot and it starts happening in multiple states, I know history says that conservatives will be calm and kind and turn the other cheek. But there's only so long that you can be slapped in the face by your federal government. There are only so many times the federal government can spy on you, censor you, and steal your elections before people get angry. And this is the kind of stuff right here that could divide our states. We could see 25 states with Trump on the ballot and 25 states without Trump on the ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be a divided country. That would be a civil war. I truly believe we are already there. I truly believe that the federal government is currently 100% at war with the American people. Like I always say, we are at war, but only one side is fighting. But now they're being so blatant about it that I hope it wakes more Americans up and gets them ready to fight, whether that be at the ballot box, whether that be in politics, or whether that be, God forbid, actually fighting. But something's going to break soon. The Democrats are going to make sure of it. The deep state, the establishment, the rhinos, they are all in it to win it. They cannot lose power because then they would be exposed for the criminals that they are. And when you corner a scared or wild animal, they go absolutely insane to protect themselves. 2024 is going to be insane. I want all of you to keep your eyes open, watch, know what's going on around you, because we really don't know what the establishment has in store for us. But if they're willing to go so blatant as to try to start banning Trump from ballots due to insurrection, well, you can only really imagine what's next. And if you know the history of our federal government and what they've done to the American citizenry in the name of science or in the name of the Cold War, in the name of spying, you know that they know no bounds and they will get what they want. We can't let that happen. Well, guys, that's all I have to say about that. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, give the channel a subscribe. If you got anything to say, hit me down in the comments below. As I always like to keep the conversation going. Y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there. God bless America.